Relooted is one of the most insanely racist games to come out in a long time, and it looks like these developers are not taking all of the criticisms and backlash they're facing particularly well, given they are locking down threads on their Steam forums, they are silencing people on X by hiding posts, and really, they're just freaking out. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I completely understand when you have worked on something for years and years and you're really excited for it, you want it to come out and you want it to be really good. You don't want people to criticize it because it's very close to your heart. But at the same time, when you are selling a product, you need to understand that a product might not be for everybody. And in this case, it's really for nobody. Just a couple of days ago, we saw the demo release. It got absolutely no traction. It looks like these people are hiding posts on social media. And it really is just a disastrous situation, especially for a smaller studio, because when you are a large AAA company, if your game release is buggy and broken, if the story isn't really what people expected, it doesn't really matter because ultimately you're going to sell copies. But when you are indie or even AA, you need as much support as possible. So you'd think that they would really want to take feedback into consideration, they would actually be listening to potential customers, and of course, developers like this never do. They are creating a product for the modern audience, which never shows up to buy products because the people that could be considered the modern audience members do not really play video games, and the demo just highlights that perfectly. It only released a couple of days ago. The all-time peak was 22. The 24-hour peak is at 5, and in-game right now is 1 single person. Honestly, I might even feel a little bit bad for these people because they are getting absolutely wrecked on social media. And I know there's going to be people out there who say, why are you bullying an indie studio? Because there's somebody trying to sell a product. When you are trying to get people to spend their hard-earned money on something you are creating, I am going to criticize you. I am going to look at your posts on social media to see what your stance is. I do want to judge you. I do ultimately feel like it is important to actually see the type of company you are supporting. So sure, they might be indie, but at the same time, they're still trying to get you to pay money for this product, and really nobody's interested in this. Before we get into them silencing people, let me just read to you the description on the Epic Store article that was done on this game. So it says the artifacts found in Relooted play a pivotal role. The game is set in an African futurism-inspired 21st century in the wake of a treaty that promised to repatriate African artifacts from Western museums. Of course, the evil white Westerners stole from the Africans, so they have to steal them back. But a last-minute twist soured the deal, and now your team of crew members from different African countries must work to take back 70 artifacts. Of course, those damn Westerners. I went to a video game bar. They went to the British Museum, he said. We met up for dinner later, and my mom was filled with rage because she had just seen that they had the entire front of a temple from the south of Turkey that they'd moved. She was like, this is so insane. And then she said, you need to make this a game. I'm pressing exit out there. I don't think mom actually said, you need to make this into a game. I just think that sounds so extremely unbelievable and really just so unbelievably cringe. But that is the plot of this game, is yes, you are stealing things back. Now, I don't know what they really meant by making a game filled with black characters who are stealing and looting and thieving. I personally think that sounds quite racist, but hey, I guess they think it's acceptable to do. But what isn't acceptable in their opinion is criticizing them. So they've been making posts on social media over the past couple of months, and a lot of these actually slipped by me, a lot of these examples that I'm going to show you. So this was one of their posts, Relooted. It is at the top of their X feed, it is pinned. It says, "Not all treasures are lost, some are just waiting to be reclaimed. Take back what is yours in Relooted, an African futurist heist game where you reclaim real African artifacts from Western museums." And I say this all the time with games like Kill the Justice League and Flintlock and Concord and Dustborn. You can create whatever you want. And it is technically good that these people are not fucking up an existing franchise and they are making something new and unique. And I do give them props there. But again, that doesn't mean that they are immune from criticism, and the gameplay doesn't really look all that good. The characters don't seem that interesting. Honestly, a lot of the world building and the environments doesn't seem particularly unique. It just doesn't look like a very good game. And what they are doing is they are hiding tons of replies. Already in my block list, DEI game, maybe just maybe, making a game celebrating Black people looting might backfire by reinforcing cultural stereotypes. So we are not talking about them hiding responses that are clearly hate speech or absolutely vile or threats, nothing like that. Somebody just said DEI game and that got hidden. People putting GIFs where they're simply laughing. Black Steel, an original concept coming to Steam. This game lacks diversity. Nah, not gonna support racists. A game about the Black people looting. What did they mean by this? Promoting racism and theft. And it really seems like there are people from both sides of the political spectrum going after this game. There are the woke individuals, right? People that are on the left who are saying, wow, this is absolutely terrible. This promotes racism. And then people on the right who are really just pointing and laughing and memeing at this because of how ridiculous it sounds. And the same thing was going on over on their Steam forums, over on the general discussions tab. There were tons of threads that were being locked down. This represents Black culture according to the developer. Seems racist to me. Why is this allowed on Steam? If looting is their idea of Black culture, there is something very strange going on. And sure, there are some different responses here. There is a conversation, but the developers responded by saying, looting is definitely not our idea of Black culture. The game's focus is on learning about African artifacts and their cultural and historical significance to Black communities. Though we do see why the correlation has been made between Black people and looting, we understand it comes from our choice of the game's name alongside the premise of the game at face value. Loot as a noun is defined as private property taken from an enemy in war. This was the case in numerous colonial expeditions across Africa, so they basically explain the definition of the word and why this game actually works. And in terms of crime, it's hard to make a heist game devoid of crime or criminal activity. Our game doesn't aim to encourage looting or stealing outside of the game world, just like any other game out there with criminal and illegal activity. We did indeed make this game to represent Black African culture, though looting, as it has been covered in recent media over the years, is not part of that representation in our game or our beliefs. So basically, it's just a, hey, we're going to make a legal statement here just so nobody can come after us later on and call us racists and bigots. But there's still tons of people saying, yeah, this is really stupid. Hope this racist game flops. Are museums evil? I'm sick and tired of the gaming community. Honestly, the character designs are low-key atrocious. People's jobs are at stake. And I think that's so funny. Is anyone genuinely offended by this, or is it all irony? I personally think that it's irony. There's nothing on the internet that really bothers me at this point or truly offends me, unless you're making vile posts and mocking somebody's death and murder, then yeah, I really just don't think that there is anything on the internet that truly offends me. But at the same time, it is so ironic that they thought this was going to work, that this game was going to come out and be successful, and all of the teasers and trailers are being ratioed. 54k views, 816 likes to 6.8k dislikes. There's thousands of comments saying we was looters and shit. Chicago Simulator South Park couldn't even make a good parody out of this, and this is going to be the general response to a title like this. If a white person made this game, like if I went ahead and made this game, I would be called the biggest racist, a Nazi. I would be called all of the names in the book, but it's suddenly okay when black people do it. I don't necessarily think that that is okay. It shouldn't matter who is making the game, it should matter their intentions behind making the game, which these people always preach, but they, of course, do not practice. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this situation to see if there's any other news surrounding Relooted. It is a game that's supposed to come out soon, according to the posts and the Steam date. It just says coming soon, so it should be launching in the near future. But the demo flopped. It looks like they've actually been hiding posts on social media and silencing gamers for months at this point, which is just horrendous. And it looks like they cannot take the backlash. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.